Hello and welcome to my personal braid history part 2. And we're going to be looking more into cornrows and how I sort of learnt to do them. So it's a little bit more interesting, but I have required the help of my two cousins to explain a little bit about their culture and our history together. So that's why we'll be touching on cultural appropriation. And just for those who don't necessarily know what that means, this is the actual definition of it. The act of taking or using things from a culture that is not your own, especially without showing that you understand or respect the culture. Okay, so here we are. I just wanted to introduce my cousins. We have Kadeem and Amir with us today. Kadeem, if you could just introduce yourself first. I know you're also a fellow YouTuber, so you can talk a bit about that and your cultural background.
Okay, cool. So, hello people, I'm Kadeem. I'm Lucy's second cousin? Is it second cousin?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, second cousin. I'm currently living in Malaysia at the moment. It's where I got married. I'm going to be here for maybe 3 or so years. YouTube-wise, I've got a YouTube channel that my wife and I started up. It's called We Out Here, and it is just basically us out here in Malaysia in different places, different settings. And my background is an interesting one. So, me being in Malaysia isn't anything special in terms of family. My mum is half Malay, half Spanish, Scottish, Irish, which is my mum's mum. She's Spanish, Scottish, Irish, and my mum's dad is Malaysian. So that's where it all ties in. And then my dad is from Barbados. So I've pretty much, for quite some time, I call myself a Blasian. So I don't look like I'm a typical Blasian, but yeah, I'm a Blasian.
I quite like that. That's an interesting nickname, definitely. Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to sort of talk about my personal history with braids and obviously incorporate your history with braids as well. And I'm just going to start off with sometimes, obviously, when I'm doing events, I have children as clients, but I also have adults who have afro hair. So when I'm braiding their hair, I ask them what's their history, and they always say, "Oh, I always remember when I was younger, I'd be sitting in the living room on the floor, and I'd have a family member doing my hair." And the classic, and it was weird because I thought, oh, well, that's also the memory that I have. But I thought, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that that's my memory because that's not my cultural background. And yet that is what happened very, very often. First you would get your hair done, then Demir would get his hair done, then I'd have my hair braided. And so it was just sort of like a conveyor belt and just sort of part of, what happened when I was younger. The only time that I had a bit of a problem or an issue from someone else was when I was travelling in Australia, and I had cornrowed my hair, very, very small cornrows, because when you're travelling it's a lot easier, you don't have to do anything. And I walked out of my hostel, and this guy came up to me and basically just said, "Oh my God, are you trying to be black?" And obviously I hadn't had this before, so I thought, what do you mean? Is it what I'm wearing? Is it the clothes or something? I was like, this is really bizarre. And then he sort of pointed to my hair, and I thought, oh, well, no. But I didn't know kind of what to say back to him because I was so shocked that he had mentioned this or said this. Pardon me. And I thought he probably thinks I went into a salon, looked at a picture and went, oh, those braids are really cool, let's get those done. And perhaps not know the history of it or not know or have respect for it. Now, going back, if he said the same thing, I would have said, oh, well, actually, my background is in braiding. I also do cornrows and French braids, and I did this myself because my cousin taught me, and she used to braid my cousin's hair, But you're not going to stand there for 20 minutes going, blah, 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 blah. But I didn't get annoyed, I didn't get angry or anything. I think I just said, oh, no, I'm not, and kind of just walked off. And it wasn't until after that I looked up and I was like, oh, what's this? Cultural appropriation. You know, I had never heard of it before. And, the last thing that I wanted to do was obviously to offend anyone. And so I didn't braid my hair in small cornrows for about 6 years after that. And people were like, oh, yeah, definitely don't wear cornrows around in London. And so I did get a bit worried, and I thought, oh, gosh, no, I don't want to do that. But one of my first questions to you is, when did you learn about cultural appropriation?
When did I first learn? Oh, it's a tough one, actually. When did I first learn? I think maybe, not even maybe, at a young age. I'm not too sure exactly when, but being in a predominantly black neighborhood, even though I'm mixed myself, because I'm mixed with what at the time what the typical mix was black and white. Because I was that mix, any black person who saw me instantly called me black. Which is quite funny in itself, because I did like it because it felt like I was part of the family. Also, at the same time, I also know that I won't be judged, or I won't fully get the full brunt of whatever discrimination they're going against, because I'm lighter than them.
Yeah.
And so I think the first time that I was made aware of it was, I think one of the white children, they were trying to emulate one of the black kids. And
right.
Emulate. The trouble is that when your children, whatever you think is cool, whatever you think is, that just looks cool, you want to do. You don't have that, I wanna use this but not take that. So it can be a mix of that. I'm not saying that he, the white guy, he was like that, but I don't know, it might be some aspect of just innocent ignorance, because he didn't know, or maybe he might just be ignorant. I'm not too sure. It's difficult, but
you do tend to copy things when you're a child, right? As you say, you look at something, you think, oh, that's really cool. You don't understand that maybe it might be disrespectful, or
There's some undertones that you have to be aware of in order for you to proceed forward and have that knowledge.
Yeah.
However, there was another white guy who made it abundantly obvious that he was basically, because he was cool, he thought he can get away with it, but it wasn't. Question.
Okay.
It was him, because especially the black background will be predominantly Jamaican. So Jamaican, you're gonna have the patois in it. They're gonna speak differently. What you're gonna think is cool.
Yeah.
He was trying to speak like that, trying to emulate, trying to wear the clothes and all of that. And that didn't run. It fully didn't run. The black kids, they were like, they questioned him. It's like, why are you trying to do that? Like, you don't need to.
No,
like, no disrespect, but no, look,
it is being disrespectful.
Yeah, it's like we appreciate it, but at the same time, you're not one of us. We don't try and be you.
No.
We just respect you, but don't try and be.
Okay, so second question. Did you know that your mum didn't actually know how to braid before she had you boys?
Oh, damn. Okay.
Did she ever mention it to you, or did you just? I assumed that she just knew how to braid for like years and years.
I think she. Snap. I think my brother and I, we always thought that she already knew how to plait hair. But it wasn't until later she told us, we asked, like, where did you learn how to plait? And she said, from your auntie. Auntie Debbie, so my dad's sister.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, cool. So that's when we found out.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly when, but we found out.
Well, I spoke to her before this because I thought, I really wanted to find out, because I thought, actually, I don't know. And yes, you're right. She obviously pulled her aside and said, right, well, you're going to have two boys who's going to have wonderful afro hair. You need to braid, you need to learn. And that's part of, why I love your mum. She's, always ready and raring to go when it comes to taking on other people's, cultural, not just differences, but, the skills that they have and the things that they do. She's very open to all of that. Whereas, she could be a mother who just went, oh, well, that's not my culture, so, I'll just shave their hair off and not bother to learn. But, we knew that she absolutely would do, and she, was obviously amazing. And so that's where I guess it started, not only you having your hair done, but when I came over, it just seemed quite normal to be like, well, I'll also do yours as well, which was wonderful. And that leads me on to the third question. Did you ever think it was weird or strange that your white cousin was also getting cornrows done?
I'm trying to remember the first time I saw you get it done.
Oh, I don't know how old I would have been. You would have been tiddly.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
No.
I don't think I found it weird. I think no. Because thinking back, like whenever you did get your hair done, we had our hair done. I think I just saw it as normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I saw it as normal because one, my mum did both mine and my brother's hair, and then whenever we went to my dad's side of the family, everyone will get their hair done, even if you didn't want it done.
Yeah. Right, you sit down now.
You'll get it done. Tantrum, crying, knockout sleep. That's a good sleep as well. Yeah, I think I just found it normal. Plus, like, you wasn't the typical white family who would not be involved in anything. Like, just your family by itself, especially your dad, will take you to different places. You'll get to learn about different things. I think that added to it as well. It wasn't like, oh, this is just a new niche or something. No, like, you were heavily involved in anything that was different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I remember. So no, I didn't find it weird. However, did I find other white kids weird? That's absolutely the weirdest shit ever. What is going on? It doesn't really click to you or resonate until you get older. But I think because it's family, you see it differently.
Yeah, definitely. And as you say, because your mum is so very open, it wasn't just sit down, have your hair done, and then go home. Her culture, your culture was everywhere, and that's what she taught me, and that's what I appreciated so much. And we'd always have, I'd always be having my hair done and the TV in front of me, and it wasn't always movies, was it? It was always, oh, do you know how they dance in this culture? And she'll put a wedding on from a completely different country, and we'd watch that for 20 minutes, and then she'd go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So for me, that's how I actually learned about all of these different cultures before I'd even started travelling myself to actually see what it was like. And it was great because she would be like, oh, this is what they do in this country when it comes to hairstyles and braiding, and this type of braid means something different to this tribe and that tribe, So for me, I was like, oh, this is fascinating and it's amazing. And so I grew an appreciation of braids. And I guess for me, I always wanted to be respectful. And so when this guy made this comment, I did think, oh my goodness, I hope all these years people haven't been looking at me going, oh my gosh, she's being so disrespectful, kind of thing. Because that was the other thing that came hand in hand when I was reading the definition. The cultural appropriation isn't good unless you do have that respect and that appreciation. But again, it's hard to emanate that without speaking to someone. So it's really difficult to look at someone and go, does she appreciate the culture or does she not appreciate the culture? Unless you have that conversation, I think that's where the wires can possibly get a little bit crossed. And I mean, for you, I'm sure over the years you've noticed through watching videos, looking in magazines, movies, the music industry, the amount of people I feel that perhaps can get away with it through art. But does that still make you feel uncomfortable when you do see things like a music video and you're thinking, oh, not quite sure about that?
Most definitely, absolutely. I think regardless of whatever culture you come from, like if you see something that's from your culture and it's not being represented in the right way, then you're gonna feel some type of way about it. Whether that be you see someone in a sari not really understanding the reason why you wear a sari, or someone with a bindi spot not really understanding that, someone with a Native American headdress not really understanding that, just stuff like that. It will irritate you. You think, do you not appreciate, what is my culture just a joke to you? You think it's a costume?
Yes.
It's not a costume. Funny enough, I was looking at, I stumbled across a video about Japan and like, do the Japanese, do they care? I want to say, do they care? Oh yeah, do they care if foreigners wear the kimono?
Okay.
That's another thing. You see a lot of foreigners wearing a kimono and not really understanding the reason why. Japanese say, no, we love it. We love that you wear it. However, just make sure you respect it.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is easier said than done.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done, because if they saw the amount of people walking around with kimonos in the West, not really understanding the reasons why they wear it, or understanding the differences as well, you're just like, well, the Japanese, if they saw that over here, they'd be like, well, that's kind of crazy. Like, just appreciate it. You're not wearing it right. It's a traditional clothing.
Yeah.
It's a traditional set of clothes, and it's a whole process. It's long to put it on.
Oh gosh.
And it's long to take it off. Yeah,
your mum showed me a video once, and I thought, oh wow, like that's a long time to get dressed. But I think
especially for the women.
Yes, with the amount of material that goes everywhere, I got confused just looking at it. But I think also where the respect would come from is perhaps if over here there was a wedding, right? And being respectful, you're like, well, I don't want to wear something English because that's boring. So I'm actually going to respect their culture and I'm going to buy what is traditional for them and wear that. For me, I would think, well, that is being respectful and that's wanting to be included in the new family that perhaps you're going to be part of.
I think a step further for that would be when and who is allowed to wear it.
Yeah.
Because that would also be a situation there. So, for instance, over here in Malaysia, when Ali and I, we had our walima, so our celebration of us getting married, we were a king and queen for the day. So she wore what a queen would wear, I wore what a king would wear. But you would never ever see anyone wear that type of clothing outside of that setting.
Right. That's specifically for that day.
I wore the headdress, which was big. She wore the headdress, which was big in itself as well. The clothing was proper nice. I had jewelry, like I was a mayor.
You looked amazing. You did look like a king. That was pretty cool.
If you saw, even for Malay, if you saw Malay outside of the wedding setting, just outside in that king type of clothing, you'd be like, people will say, take it off. Like, if you're not getting married, or if you're not celebrating, take it off.
And the other thing is, do you remember, because eventually, as much as I loved your mother braiding my hair, it did quite often feel like my scalp was being ripped out. So she had a fantastic way of braiding, so that even even my hair would stay in for like a good 10 days. But it did get to the point where I was like, I've watched her enough in mirrors and stuff to know how to sort of do it. But obviously braiding afro hair is so much nicer and easier. So yes, do you remember sort of the first time that I started braiding your hair?
I think so. Yeah. I think so. I think maybe I was a little apprehensive. I'm like, are you sure you know? Are you sure? Like, for me, like, I'm very open-minded. So if someone's new to something, I'll let them try.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to encourage them. I was like, okay, cool. I'll let you do it.
Well, I appreciate that, because obviously, I wanted to learn and needed different hair texture, and it was just perfect that I had you boys to practice on. I mean, I'm sure the first time probably took twice as long as when your mum did it, but eventually over time, that did actually help quite a lot. And I mean, I'm looking around my room at the moment and I've got loads of mannequin heads that I practice on, and one of them has afro hair, which is absolutely fantastic, because obviously you boys don't exactly live next to me, so it's a bit more difficult.
What do you mean? I've got no more hair.
Well, I can't do your hair anyway. Yeah. But I think that is definitely one thing that I did appreciate from your mum, that she did allow me to also open up to other cultures and definitely have that appreciation. So, I mean, the only last time I really did my cornrows, like really, really small. In fact, I have a photo here that I'll pop up, and I'm standing next to you because it was just before I went away to Nepal. And I knew that in Nepal, no one was going to look at me weirdly or strangely or even mention a single thing to me. And it was great because I kept that in for 10 days and I was travelling, and it was just perfect for that sort of time. So I still do that sort of hairstyle, but I think I'm more aware of perhaps where I could be wearing it and where perhaps I shouldn't be wearing it. So yes, I guess I'm just a little bit more aware of it, and sort of just being a bit more careful. But yes, I do appreciate that I've also had this background with you boys and your mum, because I don't know if I would be this sort of open-minded when it did come to cultures and having that understanding. So yes, I do think it's great, and I will end with that one story of when we were going skiing. I think it was my dad was taking us, so he was driving, and I think we were all piled in the back, so you two boys were there with your mum and I was, and we got stopped. And they obviously thought, because it was near Dover, it was near the border going to France, so we got stopped, and they did say, I think they obviously thought we were trying to either smuggle you in or smuggle you out. And of course it did look a bit weird that you know, all of us together, until obviously your mum turned around and was like, what's the problem here? No, that's my mum sitting in the front seat there, and these are my two boys. And he was a bit sort of taken aback, like, oh, she speaks very, very good English, and that's her mother. So I think there have been some interesting times like that, and obviously one party I went to in London with you, someone thought that I was your partner. So that was quite interesting to sort of explain and go back. But I don't think in the grander scheme of things we've had too many issues. That's only a few, I'd say. And then I think... oh dear. The time when it took you a while to realise that we were related. But again, I think that for being a child, I think that is difficult. We never thought to sit you down and say, we have different skin tones, but this is how we're related. You must have looked at us and been like, but we look completely different. How does that even happen?
I think, was I 5 or 6?
Yeah, but yeah, quite young.
That was the trip, that long trip that we did.
We were in France.
South of France?
Yeah.
South of France? I don't know where I got this idea or what conversations we were having, but I was like, you're not my cousins. You're not my real cousins. You're not my family. Along the lines of that. And for a whole day, Lucy and her two sisters were trying to convince me, yes, we are. I was like, how does that even work? And they were explaining, well, because our father is your grandma's brother. Which was funny because I had no issue with my grandma being white.
Yeah.
But with my cousins being white, it was like, that doesn't make
What? Thank you very much. Love you. Mwah.
No worries, cuz. Lovely to
So if you'd like to introduce yourself to me, a little bit about yourself and your cultural background.
Hi, my name is Demir. I am Lucy's cousin, and my mum is half Malaysian and half like European English. So I don't know the whole thing. And my dad is both from Barbados. So, I've learned different things from different cultures, and now they're all willing to want me.
I can see you are wearing some wonderful braids today, which is great. Yeah. I have to admit, they weren't done by me, but perhaps one day I'll be able to. Right, so I have...
I'm waiting.
Yeah, I have some questions for you. So, did you know that your mum didn't actually know how to braid before she had you boys?
No, and the funny thing is, that was only recent. I found out probably about within the last year or so that my auntie, my dad's sister, Aunt Debbie, she was the one that taught my mum how to do hair on the basis that because she's having mixed race kids, she needs to learn how to do their hair.
And ta-da, you still have them. Okay, so as I was just saying to your brother as well, your mum has always been very open when it comes to cultures. I mean, she could have just taken you boys round to their house to have your hair braided. I like the fact that she was happy to take on board and obviously learn to braid as well. The second question is, did you ever find it weird or strange as to why I was also getting my hair done?
I never thought of it. To be totally honest, I didn't even know about
cultural appropriation
until my partner was doing her dissertation at uni. I didn't know anything about, obviously you would hear it here and there, but it always went over my head.
Yeah.
Until Jasmine did a dissertation on it, and then I was like, oh.
Oh, so okay, she actually did a whole article about it?
Yeah, it was about Afro hair, and then mostly history to do with America and people standing up for their rights. And as I think I said last time, there was a girl on TikTok. She was white Caucasian, and she slit her baby hairs down.
Oh no! What, and made the pattern sort of thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then she gave it a name.
Oh.
And
what?
Yeah.
As if to say this is a new trend or something.
Yeah, she started it, and I was like, oh. And then you can see the comments.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Not so good. Another question is, do you remember when I started braiding your hair?
The beginning stage where I do remember doing a fishbone.
Fishbone braid, yeah.
I remember we did that a lot. I remember you doing some of it, or you were just playing with my hair.
Yeah.
To learn, or just to get the glimpse, or maybe it was just we were watching a film. I think we watched Emperor's New Groove or something, and you was just doing it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember you learning on from early stages. My mum was always, she would, as you were saying, she would have Moroccan stuff on, or it would be just so many different cultures in the background, or
Yeah, but obviously I remember there was a time when we went on holiday and your brother didn't think that we were related. Do you remember that time?
No, I don't remember that time, but I do remember having those discrepancies. For instance, when I was in school, and then people wouldn't believe that my cousins are white, my grandma is white, and then I have to show them like I do have white side of my family, but then it's just like I don't know whether people look at my skin tone and think, oh, he doesn't have white relatives, but I have white relatives.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just I'm not like for me. People might think, oh, I'm not light enough because they might just put me under one umbrella. Oh, he's a black guy, or
Yeah.
in actual fact, I'm mixed race and I have white relatives and I've been brought up with you.
Yes.
So, Kadeem remembers that one more. I think I was maybe oblivious to many things right then.
Well, yeah, I mean, oh, you've gone off. Your video's gone off. We will wait.
Someone's calling.
We always got worried or thought maybe we should have sat Kadeem down and had a conversation and said, you do know that we're related, right? But I feel with you, I don't know, you just sort of knew it, or maybe, I don't know, at some point maybe Kadeem sat you down and had a chat and said, you do know that that's our cousin, or do you think it's just something you learnt?
I just always known you to be my cousin.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know, from the days where my mum made me wear your tights when I was younger. You know, it was just, I guess because for me, because Kadeem was a lot older than me, so I just always grew up as though this is your cousin.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't have, I guess, the same issues or questions Kadeem had because they were already answered as soon as I arrived.
Yeah, me neither. Well, anyway, going forward, I just guess I want to get across that I am being, you know, trying to be as respectful as possible. And maybe one day I can teach you how to braid my hair.
Yeah, you know what? I forgot how to flat braid hair. Like,
because you used to be able to do a 3-strand, right? You were able to do one of them.
And I could do cane rolls, but like now, it's messy.
Yeah. Well, as I said to Kadeem, I have my mannequin doll's head that has afro hair on it. So we could have some lessons and practice. It's actually, Kadeem's already asked me, he's like, can you teach me to do some braiding? Because Alia, you know, his lovely new wife, keeps asking him to do it. And he's like, oh, I'm not sure. And I was like, well, come and ask your cousin. I can give you some hair tutorials.
Are you able to do your own cane rolls?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can do those, because, well...
Oh, is it? Oh, because, like, I know, like, it's harder to do things on yourself because you can't see what you're doing, isn't it?
No, I mean, that's how I mainly taught myself at the very beginning, because I used to just watch your mum doing it all the time.
Swear.
And then... Have you not got my Instagram account, Damir?
I forgot. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you know what I mean? It just goes over your head, and I was like... Because I remember Adjo telling me she does her own hair. It's just amazing.
I mean, it hurts.
You can't see.
Your arms hurt after, you know, doing it for maybe 4 or 5 hours. But I don't usually braid all of my hair now. I just cornrow the top part and then kind of just leave the rest down because it's just too much hassle.
I know what you mean. Even when I'm undoing these, when I take this out and use, they make my arms ache.
Yeah.
My arms up in the air, and then my head's all twisted up. Yeah.
Well, I definitely need to come down and see you to braid your hair next time, and we'll do a little video and see how long it takes to braid all of your hair. Would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be
cool. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, and I'll speak to you soon. Mwah.
And I finally found the time to go and visit him and braid his hair. It's been many, many years since we've actually been able to do this, so it was a lot of fun. And thanks very much for watching the video, and I will see you soon.